Today on Dead with Dave, I'm going to show you how to fill out a body. We got the all-new HauntBots E3 controller in for review. We got some cool news and updates. And we have a little something for you Halloween partygoers. Hello and welcome to the Dead with Dave show, a show that talks about all things Halloween or horror related. And today, we're going to start off with how to make shit. If you're a haunter, most likely you have a couple of bodies lying around your haunt. And you know all too well that making a realistic looking body can be a challenge. I'm sure all of us in our early years or one point or another have made the stuffed closed fake body. You know what I'm talking about. It was made out of an old ass pair of jeans, a flannel shirt, and it was overstuffed with newspaper and topped off with a really shitty ass mask. And the mask was stuffed even more newspaper. It always looked severely lumpy and bumpy, had like an arm bent over here and like the back was all twisted up. And it most likely never had hands or feet. But that's not going to work in our haunts now, is it? We strive for realism. And as we become more serious with our haunts, we can't have a body that looks like a 10-year-old made it. Now, to get a good, realistic body, you can do a couple of things. You could kill someone and use their body. But if you've ever moved a dead body, you know how freaking heavy they are, and that eventually they're going to rot away, and you're right back to square one. You could buy a pre-made body form and cover it with a set of clothes and a mask, which is the easiest way and pretty much always looks good. But they cost a couple $100, and they don't work too well if you need to cover an animated mechanism like my Hanging Thrasher that I'm going to do today. So the other option is to make your own. And I have a very quick, very easy, and extremely cheap way to fill out a body that looks pretty damn good when it's all done. The way I'm going to show you is one of many that I have used in the past. I've used pillow fluff, I've used cut up blankets and towels, I've even filled entire bodies with Great Stuff foam. Don't laugh, Fat Guy Puker was created with over 50 cans of Great Stuff. But if you want to get your form done fast, with products you can get from Home Depot or even Walmart, and don't need any specialty tools, then this is the way for you. First, you're going to need to pick up some stuff. You're going to need about 150 to 200 feet of bubble wrap, a pool noodle, duct tape, and a pair of latex gloves, or a set of prop hands if you have them. A can of Great Stuff foam. You'll also need a pair of shoes, which I don't have here, but any shoes will do. Oh, and you're going to need a head, or a mask. I got this prop head from the Hard-On Fuse ago, and I think it'll work perfect for this. Every body form needs an armature to start. Without some type of armature or framework under it, everything will get that weird misshapen look. Here I'm going to be filling out my Hanging Thrasher mechanism, which is made out of aluminum. But you can easily make a similar static armature out of PVC or wood. Just make sure it's proportionate to the size body that you want. I always like to work from the ground up, so I'm going to start with the legs. I cut a piece of bubble wrap about 6 to 8 feet long and wrap it around the lower legs. I use duct tape to secure it into place, making sure there is not too many wrinkles or bulges. Then I take another 6 to 8 foot length of bubble wrap and start the upper legs. If you have a moving joint, like I have here at the knees, make sure you don't cover it so the joint can move freely. I secure the first layer with duct tape, then cut another 6 to 8 foot section of bubble wrap and put a second layer over the first to build up the size. Again, secure everything with duct tape. To make sure there are no lumps or bumps and everything stays smooth, I wrap the entire upper leg with duct tape. When nothing else works, reach for the duct tape. That's what I always say. After you get all proportionate and smoothed out, we will work on the upper body. I have a few obstacles here, because of all the pneumatics, of course, that are in his midsection. So I'm going to take a very long piece of bubble wrap and wrap from the shoulder all the way down to his waist. This will give me something to build from, yet allow free movement. Next, you got to build up the shoulders. I just fold the bubble wrap and place it on top of the shoulder bar. At first, it's going to make him look like a football player, but we will fill out the rest later. Here again, duct tape is your best friend. Just make sure to apply the bubble wrap and duct tape as evenly as possible so it doesn't look lopsided. Next, we wrap the midsection. You want to wrap it only tight enough so the bubble wrap stays smooth and in place, but not too tight that it chokes the midsection. You're going to want to apply in layers. Wrap a little, then tape it. Wrap and tape, wrap and tape. Do this till you have them as fat as you want. Since I have the cylinder sticking out of them, I wrap till just above the highest point. This will keep his clothes from getting stuck in any of the moving parts. After he's all wrapped with bubble wrap, and you have him to the size that you want, it's time for more duct tape. Wrap the shoulders more to help hold it all together, then wrap the entire midsection. Again, make sure it's nice and smooth and not lumpy and bumpy. Now take a step back and look at the overall shape. Maybe you need to add a little here, take a little from there, put a little more tape there. Whatever has to be done, do it to make them look nice and proportionate. Now it's time to move on to the arms and hands. I had already filled up the gloves with Great Stuff foam and stuck the arms in to dry overnight. The only foam I had at the time was for large cracks, so it kind of expanded a little more than I wanted. Typically, you want to use minimum expansion foam or the window and door foam. To build the arms, I use a pool noodle. Just eyeball the length and cut with a pair of scissors. The arms are made out of 1/2-inch PVC, so the pool noodle slides right on. Now it's time for the fun part, his clothes. And this guy's getting one of my best suits. It's just a damn shame I got too fat to wear it myself. Put the pants on first, and at this point he doesn't have an ass yet, but we're going to fill that in later, so just put the pants on like regular. Next goes on the shirt. It's nice to have removable arms. It makes it so much easier to put the clothes on. And then put on his jacket. After the jacket's on, we insert the arms through the ends of the sleeves and slide them into the shoulder bar, locking them into place. I want his arms to crisscross in front because it's going to look like he's tied up and hanging. But you can put them in any position you want and any look you want to go for. Like I said, he doesn't have an ass. So we take some rolled up bubble wrap and stick it in the back of both sides of his pants. Making sure again it's not lumpy, but nice and smooth. You always want a nice smooth ass, am I right? Now it's time for the topper, his head. I want him to lay down for this. This way I can set it right and get in the proper position and leave it overnight to dry. Since I'm using a prop head, this is going to be very easy. But if you're using a mask, you want to fill the mask with foam first, let it dry overnight, then do what I'm doing here. I cut a crisscross hole in the stump of the neck so I can fit the bar into it. Now stick your finger in the hole and make a cavity so there's room to put more Great Stuff foam in there. Now all you gotta do is inject a good amount of foam into the head. Don't put too much, it'll just overflow at the neck and onto your prop's clothes. Stick the head on the top bar and set it into position. You're gonna want to leave this overnight to dry, so don't touch it. That's basically it. Quick, simple, cheap, and looks good too. Like I said, I don't have dress shoes yet. I've been looking for a good set of dress shoes to finish them off. I just haven't found them as of now. I'm going to soon. But I will attach the shoes just like I did the head and hands, filling them with Great Stuff foam and sticking them on the end of the bar and let it dry. You can use socks too to help contain the foam and give it more strength, so put socks on them if you want. Well, I hope this has given you guys a few ideas on how to make your own body forms for your haunt. Give it a try. It's so cheap that even if it does look like shit, you can do it all over again at very little cost. A couple weeks ago, HauntBots sent me their all-new E3 prop controller for review. And after working with it, I must say, I'm really excited to talk about this. I've been using HauntBots controllers since 2006, when I built my main Halloween controller. And since then, I've pretty much used HauntBots controllers exclusively in my haunt. The amount of functions they have, the ability to create complex programs with ease, and their overall ruggedness blows most other controllers out of the water. And to top it off, they have the customer service to back them up. But the one thing I always thought HauntBots was missing was a simpler, all-in-one prop controller. You see, all the other controllers in their line are for more of a event controlling. They had 8 to 24 outputs programmed by computer and are modular with a separate sound processor. These controllers were made to bring an entire scene to life or be used for a prop with a lot of functions. But now they came out with the E3, a self-contained, all-in-one 3-channel controller with an integrated MP3 player that is programmed on board, keybanger style. You can record up to a total of 10 different animations, 9 of which are triggerable in sequence, and 1 which is used as an ambient mode. It runs at 25 frames per second with a total animation record time of 90 minutes. On the sound side, there's a 40-watt mono amplifier that can be hooked directly to a speaker, or, if you need more power, there is a line-out jack which can be run to any powered speaker. You can have about 5 minutes of MP3 quality sound and have a different soundtrack for each of the 10 animations. Soundtracks are transferred to the controller through a USB port on the side, which is also used for backing up the programs and updating the firmware. All this is packaged in a very strong and very sturdy aluminum case. Price tag for the E3 is $140, and that comes without a power supply. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, okay, this is just another keybanger controller with sound. You know, what's the big deal, right? And it's expensive. $140 for a 3-channel. You can get a Peekaboo 4-channel for the same price. But as I started working with it, I realized very quickly that this is just not another prop controller. This controller is loaded with options that you don't really see on an onboard program controller. They basically took the best features of their event controllers and combined them with a keybanger. To just briefly go over some of the features, as it would take pretty much the whole show to talk about all the features in detail, but let's just go through some of the key ones real quick. It has a multi-show function, meaning you can program up to 9 different animations in one ambient show. This is an awesome feature so that whatever you're controlling doesn't look repetitive. You also have the ability to choose different soundtracks for different animations and then interchange them right on the controller. So say you have 9 animations, but you're only using 4 soundtracks. You can use any of those 4 soundtracks for whatever animation with just a push of a couple of buttons. And you won't have to reprogram every time you change the soundtrack. Another cool little feature is that it has sound ramping. As in, if your sound file is not the exact length needed for an animation, it can automatically fade out the sound effect so there are no abrupt stops. Little things like that really bring that professional polish to your prop. And my favorite feature of them all, being able to program 1 channel at a time. That way you're not having to have 3 hands to program those more complex animations. Now there's a ton of different tweaks to make your prop that much better. And it's all controlled with the onboard menu that can be changed at any time without having to reprogram. Okay, it's time to take it through its paces and see how it does with a fast moving prop. Something that's going to test the frame rate and also test how fast the relays open and close. So I'm going to hook it up to my 2 Hanging Thrashers. But before any of that can be done, we have to load in our soundtracks. I just want to put 2 real quick screaming and moaning MP3 sound effects and another background track to test out the ambient mode. To load sound files on, you have to use the HauntBots program to transfer the files back and forth, so you can get the files from the computer to the E3. The program is a free download from the HauntBots website, so make sure you go over there to get it. Now, I did find that the initial setup can be a bit intimidating. The one problem I ran into was setting up the device drivers. That took a little bit longer than I thought it would. I eventually just cleared everything out of my computer and started from scratch. This time following the instructions, and it ended up working out just fine. After the initial setup, however, you never have to do it again. You just got to plug the E3 into your USB port, and you're ready to transfer files. Using the HauntBots program is pretty straightforward and pretty much self-explanatory. After all the sound files were loaded, it was time to wire it all up. Wiring was pretty much standard for any type of controller of this nature. For instructions on how to hook the E3 up, refer to the HauntBots website or the downloadable instructions that come with the E3. Every hookup is a little different, so I'm not going to go into that here. Just go refer to the instructions on HauntBots.com. So much easier. After I was sure all my wires were secure and my prop was set up right, I began programming. All you gotta do is just navigate to the program screen on the controller, select which channels you want to program, and push the button to start recording. You get a 3, 2, 1 countdown, which is a really cool feature. Then as you press each of the channel buttons, the E3 records what you're doing in real time so you can see exactly what your action will look like. Also, the menu screen turns into indicator lights to show you what channels are activating, just in case something's not quite right with your prop. Now, I did go through and tried out some of those cool options I was talking about earlier, and this is definitely something you guys will want to play with to see what works for your props and what doesn't. But I guarantee you're going to love a lot of them. The sound on this thing is one of the better ones that I've heard. If anyone has ever used a Peekaboo, you know how much the sound quality sucks on them. The E3 is so much better. It is only a mono sound. I would like to see it in stereo. And to really take advantage of the 40-watt internal amplifier, you have to supply it with a full 24-volt power supply, which I don't have. I ran this setup with a 12-volt wall wart. I use the line-out jack anyway for my powered speakers. I always use powered speakers no matter what, and they sounded just fine. A couple of things that might be a problem is the internal relays are rated at only 3 amps each. So don't think you're going to be switching any heavy loads with this controller. But for an average user, 3 amps is just plenty. I did try it out with a couple of lights, and I used 250 watt halogens, and it was just fine. Another thing I want to warn you about, the on-screen menu is very easy to get lost in. Not because it's complicated, it's not complicated at all. It's just the screen consists of only a 2-number screen readout. And the abbreviations for the menu names don't really tell you much. An easy fix is to print out the menu list from the instructions and keep it next to you. I mean, after using it for a while, I did get used to where things were in the menu, but it is something to get used to. I mean, this is the price you have to pay for such a compact controller. You're only going to have a little screen readout. Now, this is only a 3-channel controller. I would love to see it be a 4-channel controller. I did hear that HauntBots might be adding more channels to this controller, or even coming out with other controllers in the E line where it has more channels, which I would love to see. 3 channels are fine, but 4 or even 5-channel controller would make this untouchable in the keybanger world. Okay, so do I think the HauntBots E3 prop controller is worth your hard-earned money? Yes, I do. But you're really going to want to hook this up to a prop that is worthy of everything it can do. I wouldn't buy this for a trash can trauma or a simple air cannon, you know what I mean? But a zombie groundbreaker, an electric chair, something that can use precise controlling. This is where this controller will shine. Now, I really wish I could keep this for myself, but I'm not allowed. Pete, the owner of HauntBots, told me I had to give it away to one of my lucky viewers. So that's what I shall do. But I don't want to give away to just anyone. I want to make sure it's going to go to a good home and be put to good use. No reason to really give this to anybody that has a yard full of blow-ups. So, in the comments down below, or in an email, tell me, what would you do with this E3? I'll take all the good ideas, put them in a hat, and make a drawing on the next Dead with Dave show. The deadline for this contest is going to be October 15th. So, think hard of what you can do with the HauntBots E3. It could be yours. $140 controller. I really wish I could keep it. I would just leave it hooked up to my Hanging Thrashers, but I'm not allowed. What a shame, you know. It's great having sponsors. I mean, come on, you're going to get an E3 controller out of it, but it's not really helping me out much. To pick up one of these bad boys for yourself, go over to HauntBots.com. While there, check out the rest of the controllers and sound processors. Once you start using HauntBots, you'll realize what you've been missing. I want to get everybody up to speed on what's going on with the Dead with Dave show and Pandemic Haunt production. A lot's happening, so let's talk. Just me and you. a friend talking to a friend. First off, the launch of the new PandemicHauntProduction.com was super successful. I got a lot of good feedback and have also got quite a few members for the members only section, which I really can't show you how grateful I am. I really want to thank each and everyone who has stepped up and signed up for the membership. It really makes all the work I've done really worth it, and it really amps me up to keep providing more and more downloadable products for all of you. Just this last month, I added the Hanging Thrasher mechanism plans, and I added over 50 new sound effects. Also, HauntBots.com has really stepped up. Not only are they giving away their E3 controller, but they're also giving all Pandemic members a discount code for 10% off their entire order from their website. So if you're a Pandemic member, go to the sponsor page and click on HauntBots. The code is at the bottom of the page. If you're not a member, go over to PandemicHauntProduction.com, where you can find out how to become one and get an idea of what I have to offer and what I'm going to be offering for only $30 a year. And trust me, once Halloween is over, you know how backed up haunters get in September and October. But once this season is over, my focus is 100% on PandemicHauntProduction.com and getting a crap ton of products on there for all of my members. Next, I want to talk about some really cool news. The Dead with Dave show is now on Roku. Yes, we're going mainstream here. If you don't know, Roku is an internet streaming device that carries over 750 different channels, which include Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Movies, and a crap ton more. Now, there's a channel on there called Zombie TV. It's a channel dedicated to Halloween and horror, my two favorite things in the world. It has horror, classic horror movies, short films, and other horror podcasts. The owner, Dale Jackson, contacted me to see if I would like to team up with him and put the Dead with Dave show on Zombie TV. Of course, I said yes. Why wouldn't I, right? There is a lot of great content there for Halloween and horror fans, and now the Dead with Dave show can be a part of it. So if you're watching this on Roku right now, just want to say I'm glad to be here on Zombie TV and look forward to bringing you and all my other fans something interesting to watch every month. Of course, I will always be available on YouTube. YouTube is my home. It's where I started out, and I will never leave. But for my YouTube viewers, go check it out on Roku, if you have one. And if you're watching it from Roku right now, go check out my YouTube channel. Just search for Pandemic Cemetery. And of course, you can always watch the show from my website as well at PandemicHauntProduction.com. So basically, anywhere you go, you can now catch the Dead with Dave show. Last but not least, we are officially doing the second annual Dead with Dave Homeowners Awards for 2013. And even though it doesn't start for a couple of months, I gotta put this in your heads now. This is when you will be recording your videos for your entries. So this is the time to take a step back and put a little forethought into your video production. Halloween's gonna come and go. We bust our ass for that one night, maybe a couple nights, but your pictures and videos, that's what's gonna last forever. It'd be stupid not to take some time and focus on getting good footage. As for the awards themselves, we're going to be making some changes. We're going to be switching up some categories, and there's going to be a couple extra judges, and there's going to be some new rules. We learned a lot last year doing our first award show and realized what worked and what didn't work. But don't worry about that now. All the specifics will be out right after Halloween, when I have time to sit down and focus on all this shit. All you need to worry about right now is getting that kick-ass footage. Well, that's it for this episode of Dead with Dave. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you tell me what you would do with that E3 controller. It's the only way you're going to get a crack at winning it. Make sure you click the subscribe button down below. Show me some love. Also, join the Dead with Dave Facebook group It's the only way to keep up with everything that's going on with the show and the website all in one place. It's also a good place to post anything that you have Halloween or horror related. Now, because of how busy I will be on my own build next month, there might not be a full Dead with Dave show until late November. After that, I'll be right back to my regular schedule. I know it sucks, but I just too busy right now. I'm sure you guys understand. It has to be about the build right now. I have to get it done. But I'll post videos and pictures of my haunt on the Dead with Dave Facebook group, along with maybe I'll throw some videos on YouTube. I'm not really sure how I'm going to be doing it, but I'm going to be posting tidbits here and there. Just not a full Dead with Dave show until later in November. I'm sure you guys understand. I really do hope you guys understand. I'm doing it for the good of my haunt, and I know you guys get it. I do. I know you guys get it. Thank you for your patience, though. So that's it. You guys have an awesome Halloween. If I don't talk to you before then, good luck on all your builds. I'm going to be watching all your videos along the way. I always do, and I'm going to keep up with what you guys are doing. I can't wait to see what you all do for this year. That's it. Have a great night.